It's that time of year again, and the National Junior Olympic Shooting Championships are fast approaching. I'm sure many of you will be competing in this match, and as someone who currently lives out here in Colorado Springs and has won a number of medals in that competition back when I was a junior, I have a few good recommendations for things you can do to perform your best at this rather unique match. However, before we get into that, we're going to go through the process of match planning, which is something you can use for every competition you participate in and will always work to your benefit, and then we'll apply those ideas to our Junior Olympics example. Stay tuned. Real quick before we get started, I just want to let you all know that today's episode is sponsored by 10.9 and that they have another special offer available exclusively to you, the listeners of this show. Now, for this, there are actually two separate coupon codes for two separate offers. Use one, use both, whatever you want to do. The first is JO Ready, no case sensitivity, no spaces, and this will get you 10% off of Curtoon sweaters, High-Tech's Techno shirts, and High-Tech's long underwear. This is for whatever they have in stock. And the second code is JO Pellets, also no case sensitivity or spaces, and that will get you 10% off all RWS R10 match pellets when you order at least one sleeve, and that's 10 tins. So if you're in the market for any of those things, head over to 10.9.com, that's 10pt9.com, and give those a go. Okay, so let's get into it. Match planning. What we're trying to achieve through having a match plan or a game plan or whatever you would like to call it is to be as organized as possible, help decrease any match anxiety we might be feeling, and just help us perform as best as we can on competition day. And there are a few different ways a person could go about making a match plan, but I'm going to go through what I found works best for me and works for a lot of others that I've helped before as well. So essentially, we're going to try and write down as much detail as possible exactly what it is we're going to be doing during our competition day. Start with the most basic thing you can think of. When are you getting up? Based on your match start time and when you want to be at the range and how long it's going to take to get there and whether you've been to this particular venue before and run the risk of getting lost, figure out what time it is that you're going to have to get up in order to have enough time to get everything done you need to and to be comfortable and not feel rushed. Alright, so there's that, waking up. Then you'll probably take a shower, so write that in. And I would say that even if you're generally an evening showerer, take one in the morning if you have a match. The reason is, well, the main reason, I mean, it can help you wake up, but the other reason is that it can really help to loosen up your muscles in the morning, which, if you're like me, can be pretty stiff. I know that, for example, to shoot standing comfortably, for me, my neck muscles in particular need to be very loose and not tight or stiff at all. And trying to stretch those out in the morning helps, just stretching, but I found that taking a nice hot shower when I wake up and doing some of my stretching in there really helps loosen up those muscles. Anyway, so you've got those two things written down on your match plan. Next, plan out exactly what it is you're going to eat for breakfast. And we haven't covered much in terms of nutrition yet, but be smart about what you're going to eat. Frosted Flakes are probably not the best option, but something like some not overly sweetened oatmeal, a banana, and a glass of milk would be pretty good. These foods are going to give you the good energy you need and are going to be broken down and absorbed at a slow enough rate to give you a pretty constant supply of energy until your next meal, as opposed to, some simple carbs, which are going to give you a big spike in your blood sugar followed by a crash, which could happen halfway through your match and really have a big impact on your performance. Alright, so we got breakfast down. Now, write down what time you're going to leave for the range and what time you want to get there by. Continue along writing down things you plan to be doing between then and your match. Are you going to use the bathroom before you get on the line? When are you going to be able to take your stuff and put it on your firing point? Are you going to have anything set up in the hallway before that? Do you like to do dry firing against a wall before the match starts? Are you going to listen to a particular music playlist before you start shooting? When are you going to stretch? Do you need to fill up your water bottle? Do you need to check in or register or pay match fees? These are all things you want to have planned out in detail before the first match day so that when you get to the range, you are not flustered and you don't feel rushed. You just feel like you're in control and following a well thought out plan. Alright, so once you have all of that written down, we're now at the part of the plan where we actually get to the competition. Sighters start at whatever time, write it down. For your competition, plan out your timing and breaks. That's the first thing you want to do because that's kind of the easiest. Do you take breaks during your matches? It can certainly help you maintain your physical and mental stamina, so I would recommend it, and I would recommend planning them in at certain places. I, for instance, in an air rifle match, like to take a short 2 or 3 minute break in position after about 20 shots, and then I like to get off the line for a longer 5-minute break after about 40 shots. I generally like to have those first 40 shots finished up around 30 minutes of time, with 30 minutes of time left on the clock. And if I have that, then I know I have enough time to finish the rest of my shots and not feel particularly rushed. Anyway, plan out something like that for whatever your preferences are and based on your particular match and course of fire and time restraints. If it's a longer competition, like the men's 3x40 small bore match, you may also want to plan in a time when you're going to get off the line and have something to eat, maybe a couple peanut butter crackers or part of a sandwich or part of a Cliff Bar, something like that to give you a little bit of an energy boost, because with the length of that match, your blood sugar and energy maintenance is a critical part of your performance, maintaining good performance. Then, once you have those sorts of things done, determine what specific aspects of your actual shooting you are going to prioritize. Have you been working a lot on your triggering? If so, you might want to have quality triggering be your number one priority in that competition, that type of thing. Okay, so at this point, we have completed the plan for the actual match, but we're not necessarily done yet. What if this match has a final? Well, you need to include that in your plan, even if you don't necessarily think you'll be making the final. If you fall into that category, there are still 2 reasons why I would suggest you include the final in your match plan. First, it boosts your self-image and you see yourself more as the type of shooter who can make a final. And we know that from previous episodes, our self-image is what allows us to shoot great scores and pushes our subconscious to make us into the shooter that our self-image sees ourselves as. If we don't include the final in our match plan, then we're basically saying to ourselves, I'm not good enough to make the final, and that is lowering our self-image, so include it. Second, if you do end up making the final, you're going to need a plan, otherwise you're going to feel flustered and you probably won't shoot a very good final. Yeah, always think positively and plan to be shooting that final. So, for this, we need to know ahead of time when it's scheduled and when the reporting time is that we need to be there by. Sometimes it's only 30 minutes after the match ends, whereas other times it can be 5 or 6 hours later in the late afternoon or even in the evening. And of course, based on when this final is scheduled, our plan is going to change drastically, specifically relating to our eating plan. If we have a couple hours, again, food comes into the equation because you have to try your best to maintain a good constant blood sugar that's going to allow you to maintain a consistent performance. You don't want to eat breakfast, then shoot your whole match, then sit around for an hour and a half, then shoot your whole final before eating again. By that time, your energy is bottomed out, so be sure you put in there how you're going to fuel your body. However, you don't want to eat too much, of course. I'm sure most of us have tried shooting on a really full stomach and know that it isn't a very pleasant experience, so that it can actually be a detriment to our ability to hold steady and shoot well. So be smart with your time management and be smart with your eating. Alright, that pretty much covers how to make a match plan. Now, like I said before, This is going to be more efficient. Well, this is going to help you be more efficient and be more organized in your shooting, but it's also going to help you with your match anxiety. All right, well, how's that? Well, if you're someone who often feels pressure and you feel that the pressure hurts your performance in competition, having this plan written down before match day is going to help you immensely, because when you get to the match, instead of feeling like it's all on your shoulders, you can play a bit of a mind trick on yourself and see it more like, alright, this is not all on me, it's all on the plan. All I have to do is follow these steps exactly. I don't have to come up with any strategies anymore, and I don't have to worry about what I'm supposed to do or think about, because I already have exact, explicit instructions written down right here on this piece of paper, and my only job is to follow them. All of a sudden, it doesn't seem so bad. I find personally that this is one of the best ways to help overcome match pressure. Okay, so we are at the halfway point for today's show, and right before we get into the specifics of the actual match here in Colorado Junior Olympics, I'm just going to give you a quick reminder again of those two offers being made available today. The coupon code for 10.9 today is JOREADY, which gets you 10% off certain undergarments, and the other coupon code is JO Pellets, which gets you 10% off RWS R10 match pellets if you get at least one sleeve. Alright, let's get into the next part of the show. Okay, so now on to the part that I'm sure most of you actually turned in to listen to. I'm going to the Junior Olympics and I want to know what I have to do to shoot well there. Right, okay, well, JO's is a pretty unique match, right? First of all, as a junior, it's one of the biggest matches of the year, and for a lot of you, just getting invited was a big goal that you had. Well, now you want to follow up on that goal with a good performance at the actual match. Great. Alright, so now for the plan. I'm not going to give you a completely detailed and outlined plan. You can do that on your own based on everything I told you in the first half of this episode. However, there are some things I would like to point out that you need to think about when you're crafting that plan for yourself. Number 1. Air density halves every 18,000 feet. Colorado Springs is at an altitude of 6,500 feet, so yeah, it's not half of what you'll have at the beach, but it's quite a bit less. Why is this important? Well, as you go up, air density decreases, which means the higher you are, the less oxygen there is in the air. Up here, for every breath you take, you're getting less oxygen than what your body is used to getting. Now, I say that assuming that most of you do not live at this high of an elevation. There are a few places in the country that, are up pretty high, but I know that a lot of you are going to be coming here acclimated to much lower elevations. But who cares? There's less oxygen, whatever. Maybe you've even been here before and not really noticed it. Well, maybe you didn't notice it consciously, but your body definitely did. You're not going to be able to take holds as long up here because you're going to need to take another breath sooner than normal. Something you're going to want to think about if you're one of those people who frequently overholds, Also, if you are holding your breath, like during a shot, your eyes aren't going to be able to perform perfectly for as long. You might not notice a difference visually, but you will notice that your shots are off call all of a sudden. If you do notice this happening, it can be because you're not getting enough oxygen because you're overholding, and it's affecting your eyes' ability to see correctly. If this starts happening, try taking shorter holds. The eyes are one of the first things affected by the lack of oxygen. Well, what can you do to prepare for this lack of oxygen up here? Well, aside from being aware of it and how it affects your shots and your holds and your eyes and everything, make sure to try and do some physical conditioning before you get here. Aerobic exercise specifically is going to strengthen your heart and lungs and increase your red blood cell count so that your body can better absorb and transport oxygen during that exercise. If you do regular aerobic activity, your body's going to be much better prepared to deal with the lower oxygen levels that we have up here in Colorado. Number 2, Colorado Springs is very, very dry, like desert dry. Like Fairbanks, Alaska in the winter once the negative 40 temperatures have frozen all the moisture out of the air into little crystals and they fall on the ground dry. Unless you really make a conscious effort to avoid dehydration, you will experience it. And dehydration is another thing that affects both your eyes and your mental and physical endurance, which of course translates directly into your shooting performance. Carry a water bottle basically everywhere you go here, and every time you think about it, take a sip. Number 3, the schedule. Know your schedule. In particular, I was told that the men's small bore events are both held on the same day, i.e. you shoot a full 3x40 in the morning, followed by a full 60-shot prone match in the afternoon, and I think you have to do that like 2 days in a row. That's really a lot of shooting, and really a lot more shooting than most of you are going to be used to. In order for you to be able to deal with that and shoot well through the whole thing, you're really going to have to take into account the whole oxygen and hydration things I just talked about. If you don't, you really don't stand a chance of shooting well. On top of that, try your best to get a couple long training days in before you get here. I know a lot of juniors can be quite limited on their range and practice availability, but if you can somehow get it, I would highly recommend a few long days like that just so you're somewhat used to it and know what to expect. Physical conditioning also helps a lot in this regard, as well as really paying attention to what you're eating and trying to maintain a steady sleep schedule. Sleep is a very important performance factor. Your body likes consistency and the right volume of sleep, so try to get to bed on time each night at the same time. And a last tip, and this can be applied to any competition, not just Junior Olympics, is to keep those emotions in check and to not over-try. Understand that this match can be quite difficult to shoot well at just because of the difficulties associated with the venue and the course of fire. But if you do find yourself struggling, resist the urge to really try hard. And we know that we don't want to do that because then if you try really hard, of course, you're taking over your subconscious abilities with your conscious mind, which is not as good at doing them all. Also, try to resist any negative emotions. As soon as you let yourself start to get angry, you're just going to dig a very deep hole that you're not going to be able to get out of. Keep it calm, keep it cool, keep it organized, make and follow your match plan, and follow these tips I've given you, and you'll pretty much be as ready as you can be. I wish all of you the best of luck. It's a fun competition. Thanks so much for tuning into this episode. One more time, I'd just like to remind you all of the offer being made available today by 10.9. That offer again being 10% off cartoon sweaters, Hi-Tex Techno shirts, and Hi-Tex long underwear that are in stock with the coupon code JOREADY, and 10% off all RWS R10 match pellets when you order at least one sleeve, which is 10 tins. If you have any questions about today's show or any questions in general, please send me an email to olympicshootingpodcast@gmail.com and I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. Also, if you would like to personally make a donation to this show and to me in my pursuit of the 2016 Olympic team, please head over to paypal.me/Ryan'sShootingPodcast. Thank you so much. Have a great week.